Well, just a couple of minutes ago, we had somebody who wants to be president of the United States, Michelle Bachmann, and now we go to Keene, New Hampshire, where he's on his bus tour, and the former governor of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Mitt Romney, joins us live. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Steve.
It's a hairpiece? That's what I heard on David Letterman the other day. It's a hairpiece?
I guess I got it glued on real tight.
Way to go. It could be windy out on the road today.
You bet.
So, Governor, let's talk a little bit about the campaign. Yesterday, Newt Gingrich was on the O'Reilly factor, and he has really been spreading the message for quite some time that he does not believe in negative campaigning. No negative ads, he says. He will begin. He will defend himself when attacked, but not start them. He offered this challenge to you. I want you to take a listen and then respond.
This PAC was created by his former staff and funded by his personal staff. Comments today are palpably misleading, clearly false, and are politics in its worst form. All he's got to do is simple. This afternoon, when one of you gets to him, he can say, I condemn any further negative ads, and I ask that PAC to run only positive ads.
So can you do that, Governor? Can you ask your PAC to only run positive ads, and will you do that?
Well, there are limits as to what you can tell a PAC. Obviously, there are these coordination rules. You're not allowed to coordinate. But I'm sure I could go out and say, hey, please don't do anything negative. But you know, this is politics. And if you can't stand the heat in this little kitchen, wait until the Obama Hell's Kitchen turns up the heat. Look, this is a time when we have to be able to stand up, defend ourselves. I've done the hard work of raising money for ads, and the speaker came after me pretty aggressively in his attacks. We're going to respond, and we've got an ad campaign in my campaign that's positive. But this super PAC that's been organized, it has to do what it does on an uncoordinated basis.
Well, obviously the speaker doesn't like the ads because your ads, Ron Paul's ads, have taken their toll on his campaign. You look at the numbers, he was way up there, and now he's moderating. He and you are neck and neck.
Well, I think as people have taken a look at his record and the fact that these ads that have come from campaigns, and in my case not from our campaign but from this super PAC that was organized to help me, have pointed out some of the aspects of his record that people weren't aware of, and that's brought the numbers down. By the way, there's nothing that any of these ads by any of the candidates are showing about Speaker Gingrich that President Obama would not put out with his billion-dollar money that he's going to have down the road. So it's probably a good time for people to see these things to make up their mind.
Governor, I'm seeing all these polls, and it's even different from last week when we were on our show. You're really rising in a lot of polls, and in Iowa in particular, there's something else happening. Ron Paul is leading the Real Clear Politics projection. What does it say about the people of Iowa if a libertarian with the relatively out-of-the-box view of our national policy and future is leading that race?
Well, I think Ron Paul has run a very effective campaign. He's been hardworking. He's represented himself well in the debates. I don't believe he'll become our nominee. I believe his views are well out of the mainstream of Republican thought, but he may be able to get some folks to support him in an early contest or two, and maybe down the road as well. So you have to tip your hat and say he's doing a nice job representing his views.
Governor, one of the biggest endorsements that you received quite some time ago was Governor Chris Christie of New Jersey, and he's been out on the stump for you, specifically in Iowa and New Hampshire and elsewhere. Yesterday he said something that caught the attention of a lot of people, and I wonder how you would react to this. Here's his quote. "Do I wish that Mitt Romney would be a little edgier and bolder? Sure. And I've told him that. I've told him that privately. He knows that I feel that way. But he is who he is." What do you make of that, and are you taking his advice?
I think his advice was that I am what I am. And there are times when if I have to be tough, and you can recall from the debates a couple of times when that occurred, I'm willing to be tough. But I'm not willing to be a bomb thrower or to go over the top and say outrageous or outlandish things or incendiary things simply for the purpose of getting people excited. I'm hoping to become president of the United States, not a talk show host.
Well, right. There you go. Plenty of those already.
Yeah, not too many. Hey, Governor, I got to ask you about the big battle in Washington because it affects every single American, and you're out on the stump every single day. The payroll tax holiday. Number one. You mentioned it's just a Band-Aid, but it would put $1,000 more in people's pockets if it's for a year. Do you side with the Senate Republicans who said pass it for 2 months, or do you side with the House Republicans that say we will not do this unless it's 12 months?
You know, these kind of internal battles in Washington sometimes make you scratch your head. They ought to get the job done. I'd like to see this payroll tax holiday extended, and I just don't believe in raising taxes on people at a critical time like this. I hope that people in the House and the Senate come together, get this worked out, hopefully before the new year sets up.
Is it bad for the party that they haven't, like Senator McCain contended yesterday?
You know, I think it's helpful if we can speak with one voice, but, you know, we elect a lot of people to go to Washington. They have differing views. They have to work those out and hopefully hammer something out that'll protect the American people at a critical time.
Yeah,
look, raising taxes right now is not a good idea, but do recognize this payroll tax holiday is a nice thing to do for folks, but it's not going to get the economy going again.
Right.
It is just a Band-Aid.
Right, exactly. The interesting thing is that it actually could affect you personally, though, because many people are linking it to the fact that President Obama has gone up in approval ratings in the polls in the last week because Congress cannot get this done, and that he will be able to use this even in his State of the Union message to call out Republicans as a do-nothing party.
You know, the president has proven that he is an attack dog. There's no question he's divisive and attacking. It's one of the reasons that Washington is broken, is that we have a president who attacks rather than leads. And the president ought to be personally involved in this process and working to try and encourage some rapprochement between the various parties, including his own party. By the way, the Republicans don't have the majority in the Senate. The Democrats have the majority in the Senate. I think people will remember that. I think they'll also remember that the president had both houses in his party for his first 2 years. He put through his agenda. How's that worked out? Not so well. We've continued to have people unemployed, housing values going down. The president's agenda has not worked. This isn't a Republican problem. It's a leadership problem, and that starts at the White House.
And, of course, one of the number 2 guy at the White House is Joe Biden. I'm sure you heard during an interview with Newsweek magazine, he said that the Taliban is not the enemy per se. That's critical. Well, Governor, if they're not our enemy, why are they shooting at us? Why are they killing us?
I think it's one of the most strange comments ever to be uttered by the lips of a vice president, and this vice president in particular said some strange things. So this is really extraordinary. I can't imagine. We are fighting the Taliban in Afghanistan. They are killing American soldiers. To suggest they are not our enemy is absolutely extraordinary, and that kind of communication confuses our friends in Afghanistan and our friends around the world. Where in the world is this vice president coming from?
Well, what do you make of it, real quickly? I mean, is it a strategy, or did he misspeak?
I think it's what he thinks. I think the Obama administration continues to try and narrow the group of people they consider our enemies to be an almost non-existent group. They don't want to suggest that jihadists of all kinds have as their intent the attacking America, attacking our values, and we have to stand up for the kind of approach that we've had under the prior president to recognize that we're going to fight jihadism around the world.
So, Mitt, be honest with this question, please. How's the bus? I heard you just rolled it out. You just took the shrink rack off it. What's it like? Is that it?
You're in the bus right now.
Very nice.
This is the first time I saw it. I came in here to do this interview. Got to see it this morning. Looks pretty nice, actually.
Yep.
We just rented it. We're going to be going up and down New Hampshire and Iowa over the next couple of weeks.
And it's made in America.
And I think,
Made in America. That's right.
I think, Governor, you should actually drive it. You
Yeah,
know,
that's
a lot
what
of the other candidates there in the back. You should be in the front, taking commander-in-chief of the bus.
There you go. They might let me drive it in the parking lot, but it's illegal for me to drive this on the road.
Oh, you got to have that special license.
I saw your last bus with all your sons in it, and I have to say the bathrooms are all clean.
Right.
So good to see you, Governor.
Thanks, Gretchen. Good to see you.
Okay.